everyone, it's Sarah from Apricot Polka Dot, and today we are going to be making a crocheted heart wreath. Now you may have already seen my video for making a round crocheted wreath with chunky yarn. This is basically the same technique, only we are using a heart wireframe today. Now these are sometimes hard to find in local craft stores. I actually had to go to Amazon, and I will link these wreath frames in the notes below, and I will also have it on my website. But sometimes you just can't find these locally, so you may have to look online to find those. I'm going to be using a really chunky yarn. This particular yarn I actually bought at Michael's a few years ago, so I'm not sure that they even have this still in stock, but this wreath is very possible to make with other kinds of yarn. I actually have this one as well. This is also from Michael's, and it is just it's kind of a thick, kind of a velvety yarn. So this would work as well. It's obviously not going to be quite as full, but you could also do another round of crochet on this to make it a little bit bigger and fuller. So this also, you could also probably find a roving yarn that is really similar in thickness to this one. And if you can find something really thick, that is great too. So we're going to begin with a slip stitch here, and then we're going to use a really big crochet hook, and you're going to put your yarn on your hook. Okay, now getting started is always the hardest part. So what I do for this one is I actually kind of hold it straight up and down, and actually I like see how the wreath has a little bit of a raised side and one that's that goes inward. I like to have the raised side face to my left because I am right-handed, and that just makes more sense to me. So we're going to sort of hold, this is always the trickiest part, is just getting attached to your wreath. So we're going to hold our wreath, and we're going to take our crochet hook, and we're going to go underneath, grab onto this yarn, and I promise you it will get easier once it's actually on. And then we're going to pull. So this is a single crochet stitch. It might seem different because it's so chunky, but it actually is just a single crochet. So we're just going to, I will repeat that because I was sort of talking when I was doing that one, but you're going to go under your wreath frame, grab your yarn under there, pull it up, and then you're going to use your yarn that's still back here, grab it, pull through your first loop, and then just pull through your second loop. So that's how a single crochet stitch works. You don't yarn over, you're using just your hook to grab your yarn around your wreath. So it's as if this wreath was like our other previous stitches on, a crochet chain. And then we're pulling through that one loop. So we grab underneath, gets need more yarn here. You want to make sure you have a good tension with your yarn so that it's not too loose but not too tight. Grab your yarn over, pull through one, pull through two. If you can pull through both at the same time. Normally when I'm doing a single crochet, I pull through both at the same time. With this chunky yarn, it's much easier to do it one at a time. Okay, I'm going to do one more for us. So we're getting close to our little point of our heart, but that's okay. We're just going to continue to do the same thing around it. So I went underneath, I grabbed the yarn, I'm going to pull through one, pull through two. And it might be easier to, if you haven't watched my first video with a round wreath, it might be easier to begin with that, since it is easier to do it in the round than it is on a heart wreath, but same concept. So I'm going to continue. So see, we've got our point almost covered here, and then we're just going to keep going around it. I'm going to keep going, and then we'll meet up at the very end and we'll finish it up. Okay, so we're right back here at some of our last few stitches, and as you can see, this is the tail from where I started. I'm going to try to kind of stuff that down and stitch over it for these last few stitches so that we have it all tucked in nicely at the end. And we're just going to probably do, well, let's see, maybe one, maybe two more. Probably just one is great. Okay, now to end this, we are going to get some scissors. We're going to go through, we're going to cut our yarn, kind of pull that through, and then I like to just sort of weave it into like the next one, and then kind of go behind and just find a couple of the stitches on the back side to weave it through to hold that knot in place. So I'm not going to go through all that trouble right now to do it through too many, but you just want to make sure that you leave enough room so it won't come unraveled. That should be good. And then we'll just trim off the extra. Okay, so you can see that we have a little bit showing here at the bottom. So this is where you kind of just want to manipulate your yarn a little bit and sort of cover that up, like pull it apart. If you have a thinner yarn, you can probably cover it a little bit better with just your stitches, like just because it'll be like you can get closer to that bottom part and go on either side of it better. But just kind of cover it up, pull some yarn down a little bit, and it won't be that visible either. Same thing with this top here, like this point was sort of showing, so I have kind of just manipulated it a little, pushed this down so it makes it more of the heart shape. The nice thing about this really thick yarn is that you can kind of move it around, stuff it in the back, however you need to make it work for your project. So we've got a pretty good job here, and now we have a perfect heart crocheted wreath for Valentine's Day.